You ever hear your own bones argue with you? They say the first sign isn't the pain. It's when your reflection blinks after you do. I told myself it was superstition, just another story the forest tells to keep people inside. But tonight, the forest told me to come back. The door's been waiting, the air smells like thunder and old blood, and something in me wants to answer at whispering narratives. We don't just tell stories. We keep the doors honest. This isn't a legend, it's a confession. Point of view, where the night you change. I didn't plan to run tonight. I planned to keep my head down, keep my calendar human, and let the moon be some other fool's problem. But the air went metallic at sundown, coins on the tongue, rain that never falls, and the wind started, threading itself through the pines like it had news to deliver. Bad news. Old news. There's an abandoned hunting lodge where the tree line breaks. The roof sags like a tired jaw. The porch slants toward a blackberry thicket, and something carved into the door keeps catching the light. 3 vertical gouges with a circle around them, like a warning from a hand that wasn't shaped for writing. Every time I pass this place, that mark looks deeper, like the wood remembers me. My breath smokes. My hands shake. The kind of tremor you can fake as cold until your wrists start clicking like pocket watches. There's a drum in my chest, and it's not keeping human time anymore. It's counting down. The moon isn't even over the ridge yet, and somehow the night already knows my name. I thumb my phone screen. The camera opens to my face, and the candle flame glow of my pupils looks wrong. Cat wrong. Predator wrong. I should go back. I should turn and pretend like I always do that willpower beats blood. But then a smell hits me from inside the lodge. Wet, iron, damp leather, the ghost of old smoke, and my feet move without asking permission. The steps complain under my weight. Inside, dust sits on everything like it's been paid to keep quiet. A line of hooks waits by the door. Empty, except for one bent nail holding a strip of red cloth that used to be a bandana. The color is too fresh. The cloth is too warm. I don't touch it. I don't need to. I know that warmth. It's the same temperature as fear. A floorboard exhales, and I turn. Nothing there. Just a broken antler on the hearth and a cracked mirror. Slumped against the wall, the mirror has water stains like continents. It shows me in ripples. My reflection looks like someone who eats with their hands. My throat tightens. I swallow air and splinters. Hold, I tell myself. Just hold. A whisper threads the rafters, not outside but inside my head, softened by a voice I half recognize. Mine, if my voice lived in the dark. You're late. It's time to stop pretending the door doesn't open. Wind slips under the warped window, and the wood around the gouge-marked door makes a tiny sound. A slow inhale, like the door is bracing. I step closer to the carved circle. My fingertips hover over it, and the skin there, my careful, civilized skin, crawls toward the mark like a compass needle. From somewhere far away, a coyote screams. The sound is too thin, too desperate, like it remembers a shape with more teeth. My phone buzzes with a calendar alert that I forgot to cancel. Tonight, don't go out. That's cute. I almost laugh. Tradition says you stay indoors on nights like this. Tradition says boiled salt, silver on the windowsill, prayer in old words, everything our grandparents did because they didn't have better medicine. Tradition also says some doors, once opened, learn your touch and start opening themselves. I should leave. I should. But the moon clears the ridge, and the light through the broken window does something unspeakable to the dust. Makes it glitter like bone ash, like the air itself is molting. Heat blooms along my spine. Not surface heat, furnace heat. The kind that makes old scars itch like they've grown roots. My knees soften. My nails ping the floor as if they've struck metal from the inside. Each heartbeat shoves my ribs outward and brings them back different. I taste the room now. There's mouse in the walls and mold in the plaster, and an old spill of blood down between the floorboards where a table used to sit, cinnamon at the edge of it. The man who bled here drank his liquor cheap and spiced, and he chewed clove when he lied. I know this like I know the curve of my palm, and that knowledge terrifies me. How can I know a man's lies from the dust? The answer comes on a thread of pain that unspools down my spine and catches each vertebra like a fishhook. Because you're not built to ignore it anymore. My jaw ticks. The hinge wants to widen. My tongue doesn't belong in this mouth. A pressure builds behind my eyes and the pupils split like spilled ink. I blink and the room shifts from dim shapes to scent maps, to heat signatures, to a symphony of heartbeats I didn't know wood carried. Hold. I whisper again, and the voice that answers, God help me, purrs. The lodge door moves. Not much, just a warping in the wood like breath. The three gouges shine darker, wet-looking, and for a second, longer than a second, I see my hand laid exactly over them, palm to mark, as if the door expects me to complete the circle. I back away until my shoulders hit the cracked mirror. The glass kisses the nape of my neck with cold. My reflection doubles and triples, human, almost human, and something that wasn't invited. We don't just tell stories, the dark voice says, suddenly wearing words that are not mine, but that I've heard before late at night when I was braver. We keep the doors honest. I close my eyes. Somewhere in the static of my breath, another whisper threads in. Softer, ritual thin, like a secret passed hand to hand. If you feel it too, don't fight it. Mark survival. Share the warning before the next full moon. My fingertips finally touch the carved circle. The temperature of the wood is my own. For an instant I can't tell where I end and the door begins. Thunder clenches. No, not thunder. The lock inside my bones turning. There's a sound like a branch snapping and the floor jumps, and something inside my chest yawns wide and takes a first, impossible breath. My teeth ache in their beds. The ache turns to pressure. The pressure turns to length. The moon finds me through the broken window and writes its pale signature on my skin. The first hair stands, then another. Then 1,000, like frost growing in fast forward. I open my eyes and the mirror doesn't show my face. It shows a muzzle's shadow where a mouth should be and a wet gleam of teeth. It shows hunger learning the geography of my skull. Outside, the pines sway like an audience that already knows the ending. Inside, the lodge creaks its approval. Somewhere in the bones of the place, a nail shrieks free. Somewhere in the bones of me, a promise does the same. Remember me, I say to the human shape in the glass, and even as I say it, the syllables drag on new teeth and come out wrong. The old me nods like they're watching me leave on a long trip. The door exhales, and I change. The first wave doesn't knock, it roots. It crawls down the ladder of my spine and plants a flag in every rung. Heat becomes weight, weight becomes torque, and then my lower back shifts 3 degrees into a new definition of upright. Grab the table to steady myself, and the table learns a lesson about me. My fingers, still mine, still soft, tighten, and the wood answers like bread crust cracking under a knife. Splinters bloom under my nails, my grip won't let go. Not because I'm brave, because the tendons in my hands are winding themselves like cables, and the cables want a test. Easy, I whisper, like you'd talk to a skittish horse, except the horse is my skeleton and it's decided the saddle's wrong. My breath staggers in triplets, in and out, in and out. I hear it like I'm under a microphone. There's a tiny whistle in my left nostril that wasn't there 5 minutes ago. My body is a bad orchestra, learning a better song by ear. The second wave hits the wrists. It crawls into the bones like cold mercury, and then burns, really burns, until my joints click and stretch. The knuckles rise under the skin like stones, then slide forward, deliberate as wolves stepping out of cover. Nails peel, they don't fall off. They withdraw like embarrassed guests. and the black underneath keeps growing until it isn't nail anymore, but curved glass, obsidian, hunting tools that remember the dark. The urge to scream comes, a normal, human reflex. I try it. What comes out is a choked bark, ugly and shocked, a sound that makes the dust in the rafters jump. I clap a hand over my mouth and immediately regret it. My teeth are crowding, shouldering one another, eager to be bigger than the room that holds them. There's a baseline in the floor now, a hum you feel in your ankles. The lodge is older than my sins, and it's vibrating like it recognizes the tune. The cracked mirror jitters against the wall and throws a ghost of me across the planks. A figure hunched at the hinge, shoulders lifting by degrees, head dipping, then snapping up as a hot wire bites the back of my neck. I smell everything. The bandana by the door has 3 fingerprints on it, one recent, terrified, one older, angry, one that doesn't belong to human oil at all. The mold in the west wall is trying to colonize a knot in the wood, and losing. A raccoon died beneath the porch last autumn, and the neighborhood under there is still growing teeth. I know all this without moving. Knowledge arrives not as thoughts but as certainty, taut and wordless. The third wave isn't a wave, it's a door. It opens behind my breastbone with a hinge scream, and every rib widens like a fan. The cartilage pops in sequence, tick, 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 until my chest finds a new width and a new breath to fit it. I drag air in, and it doesn't go to lungs. It floods the bloodstream like night water pouring into a dry culvert. My heart slows to something practical, efficient, a hunter's metronome. Hold, I tell myself, the oldest lie, and then my jaw decides the meeting's over. It starts with H like a knuckle pop, then climbs into a scissor grind. The hinges drag past what I thought was the limit and keep going. Cheekbones creep, tugged by invisible thumbs. The skin doesn't tear. It negotiates, stretching thin as scripture, then thickening with a prickle like a storm of needles marching outward. I feel each tooth lengthen through the gums. The pain is not sharp, it's correct. Like a bone being set after a bad break you've walked on for years. Drool hits the floor. I watch the drop fall in slow outrage. There's meat in the smell of the wood. There's rain in the distance, and the rain has frogs in it, and the frogs have hearts like jewelry box springs. A thought, thin as fishing line, tries to pull me back. Remember your name. I reach for it, and my hand, my new, clever, ugly hand, doesn't close the way hands close. The thumb has conceded territory. The palm wants the floor. The wrist angles itself in search of purchase, and then, because every heresy needs its hymn, my spine arches. Vertebrae ladder outward. My shirt sighs and gives. The line of hair that started at my nape marches down, colonizing my shoulder blades, meeting a second army rising from the tailbone. Something wakes at the base of the spine, a throb, an insistence, and a weight tugs there, subtle at first, then jubilant. Balance rights itself. The room reforms around a new center of gravity, and I understand with humiliating relief what that means. More limb where there used to be ending. The mirror shows a shape that belongs to forests. Ears sharpen from the soft human fold into points that swivel on their own, catching the scratch of beetle legs in the wall like castanets. My nose shudders forward, and the world blooms. Damp fern sugar, mouse panic highs, a thread of iron under everything like a hymn key. I am not seeing more. I am admitting more. A sound outside, boot scraping gravel, slices clean through the music. Human, male, 30 strides out. Cigarette on his breath, cheap menthol, and a dog's hair on his pant cuff that isn't his. Dog. He stops. He's listening. He heard the bark. Instinct arrives, not as suggestion but as order. The body tips toward the door. The new feet, half-made, horror fresh, test the planks, digitigrade, cautious, perfect. The part of me that writes grocery lists grabs a railing in my head and yells, no, not him, not yet. I turn, bad idea. The muscles in my abdomen seize and knot, then lengthen, then seize again, as if a beast is doing pull-ups inside my skin, using my ribs for a bar. The pain drops me to all fours, and the rightness of that position is so obscene, I almost weep. Fingers splay. Claws take weight. The floor leaves divots where I pass. The mouth laughs. No, not laughter. Huffs, a satisfied piston of air that fogs the mirror with fanged hieroglyphs. Whispering narratives. I croak, test-driving syllables, like bolt tires on ice. Habit tries to wrap itself around a ritual phrase, a survival prayer dressed as a channel opener, and the beast, magnanimous for now, lets it through. We don't just tell stories, we keep the doors honest. The words scrape the roof of my new mouth. They taste like metal and oaths. I brace for the fourth wave, and it rewards me with legs. Thighs pack on corded strength, calves knot, Achilles tendons hum like drawn bows. The kneecaps don't move so much as redefine themselves, tilting the geometry towards speed. The feet split allegiance between foot and paw, pads budding, heel rising, toes lengthening into clever, articulate instruments of pursuit. The bandana flutters, not wind, pressure change. The room registers me as weather. Remember me, I say again, but it comes out a throat-deep roll that never learned vowels. A low drumskin note that makes the glass tremble, and the man outside take two. Steps backward. He fumbles his keys. One drops. I can hear the O of his mouth while he curses, the slick of sweat popping at his temple, the prayer he doesn't believe in anymore, climbing out of habit. I am so hungry. Not for food, for clarity. To stop translating every second of my life into manners. To leap over the furniture of my fear and land in something that doesn't judge me for wanting what I want. The fifth wave arrives sly, hair thickening to pelt, skin darkening under it, a velvet armor. The smell of me turns wild and electrical, ozone, salt, heat. I press one hand, paw, against the floor and feel the nails sink deeper than wood should allow, like the lodge is eager to be marked. It knows my kind. It's hosted us before. Outside, gravel crunches, a man decides, toward the door. The hunter in me surges, tail flood high. The human in me slams the brake. We compromise. I rise, slowly, a horrible, magnificent silhouette. The cracked mirror shows a creature haunched and regal, a diorama of what the old laws meant when they said, "Beware the nightkin." My head grazes the rafters and dust crowns me like a doomed king. Not him, I tell whatever has borrowed my bones. Not yet. The words are barely words, but the beast understands the shape of a stay. For now. It paces inside the skin like a storm helping itself to the coastline, erasing sand castles. Sound cue. Heartbeat settles to 48 BPM, low room tone sustains. The door inhales again. From the other side, a knuckle raps. Hello? Innocent, amateur. I turn toward the sound and my neck rotates further than it used to, owl sinful, predatory, and my teeth show themselves without permission. The splintering is done pretending to be a phase. It has become a condition, and I, still balanced on the thin, creaking scaffold of a name, stand between the urge to open the door and the promise I made the mirror. Remember me tonight. Remembering might be the last human thing I do. The knock hangs in the wood, like a mistake that learned to echo. Another, softer. Hello? He tries again, offering his voice like bread to a dog that isn't a dog. The beast inside me rocks its head. The sound lands in a new chamber of the ear, an inner place where voices aren't words but weights. His is light, unseasoned. He thinks doors protect. He thinks locks are little gods. He doesn't understand that tonight the door breathes. My hand, paw, rises toward the latch. Not to open, to feel. The iron is cold as church pennies. It shocks the pads with a memory. Other nights, other hands, a shape like mine painted in moonlight and threatening to come in. The lodge has survived that, somehow. It expects to survive me. Bold. I lower the hand and step sideways, feet whispering. Across the plank seams, claws drawing soft lines. The mirror keeps its counsel. My reflection is a saint of the wrong religion. Anybody in there? Keys jingle. The man laughs, a tiny, embarrassed laugh at himself. That's good. Let him be. Small. Let him choose life. I aim my voice through a throat not built for it. Leave. It's 2 syllables. Gravel and vow. The L torn on a tooth meant for a deer's hamstring. The house seems to mouth the word too. The rafters flex as if the sound has fingers. A pause. The man straightens the spine he's been trying to look casual with. His heartbeat pulls itself tall. You okay? No, I am a country peeling off the map. A wind slithers over the ridge, and the bandana by the door lifts like a red tongue to taste it. With the wind comes everything. Dirt, owl-down dust, fox musk sketched thin as a question, the distant rot sweetness of something dead in the ditch, and underneath 3 miles west, a herd of deer moving all at once because their leader dreamed of teeth. The moon salts the sense with a fever-bright yes. The man on the other side of the door doesn't carry silver. He carries a flashlight and a habit of checking up on empty things he should have left alone. He doesn't deserve to be a lesson carved into a wall. My ribs widen again, small clicks remapping what full means. Breath comes colder and easier. A growl courts my mouth the way a storm courts shorelines. I swallow it. The human part of me slips a note across the table of my skull. Go. Into the trees. Hunt something that won't be mourned by a first name. I back away from the door, slow, deliberate, tailbone dragging a newborn weight behind me that wants to wag or whip. Indecent options, both. The man shifts on the porch. 3 boards complain. He leans to the window. We are inches and species apart. I choose the back of the lodge, where a window gave up years ago. The frame is a mouth without teeth. I step through. Shiver of glass stubble. Skin knits behind me as casually as breath. Fog fades. Outside, the world is properly tuned. Every leaf a valved instrument, every stone a note. The earth has a pulse. It's slower than mine and older than my family name. I set a paw. When did I stop pretending? On the damp dirt, and it receives me like it remembers the print. The second paw follows, then the third, the fourth. By step 6, I'm moving with a grace that didn't need to be learned because something else remembered it for me. The woods open like a cathedral that never forgives. The lodge, behind me, returns to its held breath. The man's breath hovers in the doorway like a moth. He peers in, flashlight slicing dust into little parades. The beam brushes the mirror and meets the smear of my fogged hieroglyphs. He says a name, his own, to steady himself. He backs away. Good. Live long enough to forget this exactly, and still cross the street a little faster when the moon is bright. I run. Not because I'm chased, because running is what my blood calls air by. My body becomes a logic problem with only correct answers. Weight pulls forward, spine flexes, hips throw, toes spear, shoulders roll. Repeat, accelerate, rejoice. The world smears into scent. A rabbit sketches an exclamation point between blackberry bushes and dives. I skim past, intact, a mercy I didn't intend. My mouth waters anyway. There is shame in that, but even shame tastes good tonight. The ridge rises. I take it in a braid of leaps and a skitter. Stones clatter. A fox explodes from a hollow log and screams a syllable that all languages share. Mine, I don't take. Not yet. I promised the mirror a memory, and I'm keeping the best part of me pointed at that promise like a compass needle at iron. At the top of the ridge, the forest thins around a scar of granite and a stand of crooked pines. The moon sits there like a judge with all the time in the world. I stop because something stops me. Not fear, scent, iron and brine and ritual candle smoke that didn't come from a candle. A circle of stones blackened by old fire. A ribbon of old facts braided too tight, broken bones buried shallow, glass melted by heat the lodge couldn't make, and a human tooth pressed into resin inside a jar that someone thought the ground would keep. I know this place, not from memory, from inheritance. The taking is not just a theft of my body, it's an audit of my lineage. It hands me a ledger no one warned me we kept, what we devoured, what we left, what we swore. Names I never learned turn over like fish in a bucket, flashing guts and moon, footsteps behind me, different from the porchman. Lighter, surer, a rhythm that knows these trees. I turn without turning my head, the ears do it for me with smug little swivels. The breath is female, 30 feet, calm heartbeat, leather and juniper, gun oil used sparingly. A hint of silver not worn on the body but in a bag, wrapped in cloth because she's not stupid. She steps into view as if she were always part of the clearing. Compact, hood up, eyes the color of a match head before the spark. She doesn't point the rifle. She carries it muzzle down like an apology that might be necessary. Easy, she says, but not to me. To herself. To the laws in her blood. To the night. We look at each other, and the world stops listing. She is the kind of human who knows not to stare at the teeth, so she stares at the shoulders instead, at the posture, at the way the claws set like punctuation. She sees 1,000 things and files them under this one thinks. You smell wrong for a first night, she says quietly. You made it this far without... Her mouth closes around the word killing like it's a hot coal, without breaking harm. That's rare. I can leave. I can be smoke and shadow in 2 seconds. But my name, the scaffolding, likes her voice. It doesn't want to lose it. The beast adjusts its grip on the wheel and gives me an inch of lane. Leave. I manage again. The VI I used to have in leave is gone. It died somewhere back in the lodge when my jaw lengthened. She hears the intent anyway. Her pupils pinch with awe before they widen with understanding. I can help you hold, she says. If you want to hold. She glances at the stone circle. Her nostrils flare. You picked a terrible place to change. I didn't pick it. It picked me. But sure, tonight we pretend choice is something we still manufacture. A deer coughs in the dark, stupid, with moon, and the beast inside me rises like a spring flood. The smell of hot hide and adrenaline threads the night with a rope I want between my teeth. A hunter in the woman shifts her stance, reading the same map I do. She doesn't lift the rifle. She doesn't run. She simply becomes true. One of those creatures who belongs to the kind of dangerous that doesn't need to shout. Mark survival, she whispers, and it isn't a mantra so much as a passcode. If you felt it too, don't fight it dumb. Fight it smart. It's almost funny. Somewhere in a saner world, I'd cut that into a lower third and call it a CTA. Here, it's just oxygen with good manners. The deer blunders closer. The clearing tilts toward fate. I won't stop you, she says, but decide what you'll be proud to remember in the morning, if morning happens. I launch. Not at her, past her. The rush of speed is a theology, and for a second I worship. The deer sees me a fraction too late. It zigzags, prays to chaos, and I answer with a mercy I didn't know I had. I veer. Trees whip by, their bark language slapping my flanks with punctuation. I choose a boar instead, a mean old slab of muscle and mood rooting near the creek, tusks scribed with stories of ankles. It fights. Good, let the night have a fair riddle. The kill is clean because I want it to be. One bite, one break, no showmanship, no cruelty. Blood fogs the air with iron. The beast hums approval. The human in me does not weep. It nods like a craftsman who sharpened the tool too well and isn't allowed to be surprised when it cuts. When it's done, I step back. I leave offerings, liver for the fox that warned me, haunch for the coyotes threading the fence line, a circle scratched in the dirt for whatever keeps score. The woman appears at the edge of the creek and doesn't flinch. She watches the way I place the meat, The way I keep my teeth sheathed when I step away. She watches ritual, not appetite. You might make it, she says softly, like a diagnosis. If you keep making that kind of choice. The night tilts differently now. The taking is not just the beast stealing my shape, it's me stealing back terms. Not human terms. Mine. A sound rises from the ridge behind us, low and plural. Not coyotes, not wolves. Something that learned our hymn and sings it wrong on purpose. The woman's head snaps toward it. My ears lock, stones in the circle. Sweat old heat. Pack? She asks. I taste the air. The answer is complicated. There's kin in it, yes, but braided with a rancid cord of oathbreak. A shape like mine without the promise I made the mirror. Teeth first, treaty burned. No, I say, because the word for them isn't a word you can say without losing something. Not mine. She shoulders the rifle. Then we run before they make you theirs. The trees shiver. The moon leans in. The door that is my back opens wider. I stand at the hinge of two orders, the hunger that finally fits and the vow that barely does. The taking is almost complete, but almost is not done. I choose again toward remembering. Go. I rumble, and this time when we move together, hunter and hunted both, refusing the easy script the night wrote for us. We run until running feels like flight. The forest bends out of our way, branches slick with dew, roots curling aside like they've been warned. Every stride chews the dark into smaller pieces. Wind claws at my fur. My breath paints the air in quicksilver ghosts. Behind us, the pack's howls stitch the night shut. They're coming fast. Not the wolves of legend, but the wrong kind. Those who surrendered too much and liked what they found. I know their voices, low, cracked by hunger that forgot to be holy. The woman beside me keeps pace, her heartbeat steady, deliberate. She's no stranger to chase. We crest a ridge and the world below gleams. Black water, silver reeds, a drowned barn leaning on memory. She points toward the marsh. They won't cross running water. They will, I rasp, the sounds half growl, half confession. If it's blood that runs. She glances at me, really looks, and sees it. The pulse behind my ribs isn't just heart anymore, it's command. The pack answers that. The beast I am is no longer hunted, it's wanted. We crash through cattails. Mud sucks at our feet. The moon throws its reflection across the surface, a pale door that promises no mercy. Every step slaps water that smells of rot and old rain. I feel them closing, 9 shapes, 10, a chorus of breath and want. One breaks ahead, a silver blur that catches the scent of the woman and decides she's enough. The old me would scream. The new me moves. I spin, shoulder first, impact splitting silence into violence. We tumble through weeds and cold. Claws rake. Bark, sparks of pain that register as data, nothing more. Teeth flash, blood steams. The intruder's eyes go wide when mine match them. Same hunger, older restraint. I clamp its throat, push until the growl dies quiet. When I look up, she's standing over me, rifle braced, trembling, but not from fear, from belief. Still you, she says, for now. She tosses a pouch toward me, ash, salt. Something that smells of prayers said under breath. Circle, she orders. I drag a claw in the dirt, draw the mark, feel it hum. The world sharpens. The pack's howls falter, confused by boundaries they can't name. The air itself seems to pause, waiting for whichever god claims this night. She kneels, hands pressed to the circle's edge, whispering in words older than reason. I watch her mouth shape the syllables and feel them crawl beneath my skin like warmth, like light remembered. The beast shudders. The hunger turns inward, looking for a door. Inside, the memory of the mirror flickers. Human eyes, human fear. Remember me. I'm trying, I whisper. The sound hurts. A raw edge of voice dragged through a throat that's forgetting language. The woman looks up, eyes glassed with moonlight. Then hold, Just a little longer. The pack circles the ridge, snarls, weaving into a single sound. Family, rage, longing. My claws ache with recognition. They are mine and not mine. The pieces of me that never learned the word enough. The beast inside bares its teeth to the night, but this time it's not for blood. It's to warn, to claim a line between devouring and surviving. The moon approves, blinding bright. The pack hesitates. The circle hums louder. The woman's voice rises, a chant threading through my pulse. Mark, survival, remember your name. I step across the line. It burns, then cools, then opens something in my chest that might be hope or heartbreak. It's hard to tell at this speed. Behind me, the pack melts into mist. The echoes fade, the forest exhales. We stand in the hush after the storm. Two creatures who refused the script. The woman lowers the rifle. Now what? I look at my hands, half fur, half flesh, shaking with aftermath, and smile a terrible, tender smile. Now, I say, we run toward remembering. Dawn doesn't arrive so much as negotiate. The eastern sky bruises pale, unsure if it's allowed to color this kind of night. The woman, my hunter, my witness, leans against a pine and reloads ritual instead of bullets. I crouch in the mud, steam rising from my fur, watching the first light attempt to name me. It fails. Light used to mean safety. Now it only shows the claws caked with another creature's story, the scars that healed before I could regret them, the breath that still frosts because part of me refuses to admit morning exists. The woman finally speaks. Still you? A voice startles the silence into confession. My throat works once, twice, finds the old shape of a word and fails. What comes out is a hum, almost human, almost howl, an answer in between. She nods, as if that's good enough. You'll want to look, she says. She gestures to a puddle where moonlight hasn't fully died. I crawl closer. The water's surface quivers. One wrong breath will break it. My reflection does not wait politely for me. It leans forward first. The face that peers back is a compromise between nightmares, muzzle and mouth sharing custody of a jaw, eyes shifting gold to brown and back again, like the argument never ended. Behind the beast mask, I glimpse him. The man who used to buy groceries and leave exact change. He mouths something through the shimmer. Remember, the word lands like a silver bullet in the chest. Clean, final, merciful. I bow my head and the reflection bows deeper, as if to apologize. The woman drops beside me, tired, curious, maybe a little afraid. The others will come back, she says. They always do. Moon's only merciful once. I look toward the ridge, where smoke from the circle still writhes, and know she's right. The pack that fled will heal their pride and follow the scent of doubt. They'll want me, either to kill or to crown. I don't know which is worse. A wind stirs, cold, enough to remind the blood it once had manners. The fur along my spine recedes in patches. The hands, mine again, half, ache with return. The shift backward is slower, crueler. Becoming human feels like shrinking. Bones slide into smaller lies. The teeth dull, the heart sulks. By the time it's done, I'm just a man shivering in mud and memory. The woman doesn't look away. She hands me her coat, all utility and forgiveness. You'll need to choose a name, she says, for when people ask. I think of the mirror moon, of the reflection that refused to vanish. I think of every prayer my blood ignored until it grew a voice sharp enough to answer. Call me what the moon remembers, I say, not what the world forgot. She smiles, small and grim. That'll do, for now. We walk until the trees thin and the sky stops flinching. Every sound feels wrong in daylight, birds too cheerful, water too honest. The road waits ahead, cracked and ordinary. A pickup sits there, engine ticking. She holds the door open. You sure? She asks. No, I admit. But maybe not being sure is human. When I climb in, I catch one last glimpse of the puddle behind us. The sun finally wins the argument. The mirror moon dissolves. But just before it goes, the reflection smiles back, not beast, not man, but something that understands both. As the truck rolls forward, the whisper in my chest returns, faint but steady. If you felt it too, don't fight it. Share the warning before the next full moon. I breathe, slow and deliberate, tasting rust, pine, and the fragile sweetness of being unfinished. And somewhere in the woods behind us, the lodge exhales once more. A door closing, for now. Civilization is louder than I remember. Engines snarl like cheap imitations of hunger. Neon hums where once the moon sang. I move through it wrapped in borrowed fabric and borrowed calm, each heartbeat a trespass. The woman left me 3 towns ago with a map and a warning. The world forgives what it forgets. Don't let it forget you too fast. She didn't say goodbye. Hunters don't believe in endings, just distances. Now I rent a room above a bar that pretends to be rustic. Pine, paneling, fake antlers, whiskey that tastes like nostalgia. The patrons talk loud to drown out their own echoes. I sit at the edge of the noise and practice being background. The mirror behind the bottles is too clean. It shows too much. Every time someone laughs, the glass ripples. I see the ghost of gold in my eyes. Reflexively, I blink it back to brown. The trick works, mostly. Outside, rain tattoos the alley. The scent is maddening. Rust, yeast, the animal sweetness of wet fur on unseen dogs. My nails itch beneath their polite crescents. The beast still lives there, pacing, whispering just one night. I keep the lodge's gouge mark, drawn on a scrap of napkin folded in my pocket. 3 lines, 1 circle. A reminder or a promise, I can't tell which anymore. Some nights I trace it with a thumb until my skin remembers being claw. The bartender, an older man with eyes that have seen weirder, nods at me. You local? Passing through. He pours without asking what. Maybe he smells it, the wild under the soap, the dirt under the civility. He slides the glass my way, careful not to touch. You look like you've run a long way. I'm still running, I say, and the words taste true. He chuckles, a sound like loose gravel. Aren't we all? But his heart doesn't skip. His breath doesn't sharpen. He's safe, human. I sip and almost believe I am too. Then it happens. A sound that doesn't belong to cities. Low, mournful, near. A howl woven under the noise of rain, the kind that finds the gaps in your ribs. Conversations falter. Someone jokes about wolves, laughs too loud. My pulse answers before thought can intervene. I stand. The room feels suddenly small, air too thin. My hands tremble. Beneath the polite human rhythm of my heartbeat, another drum wakes. Outside, the streetlight flickers. Reflections warp in the puddles. For an instant, the world looks honest. Every window a full moon. Across the street, a shape moves on the rooftop, large, confident, watching. The pack didn't forget. The bartender follows my gaze, squints into rain. You see something? I force a smile that doesn't fit my face. Just the night. He nods, unconvinced, goes back to his bottles. I step outside. The rain greets me like recognition. The air smells of iron again. My coat darkens. My skin remembers fur. Up above, the silhouette shifts. A greeting or a challenge, hard to say. A snarl curls in my chest, soft, private, like a muscle stretching after sleep. The beast leans close and whispers, "We never left. We were only waiting for you to come home. For a heartbeat, I believe it. For a heartbeat, I want to." Then I remember the puddle's reflection, the man who smiled back from between worlds. I close my eyes, anchor myself to that image, and whisper the words that have become my leash and my prayer. Mark survival. Remember your name. When I open them, the rooftop is empty. The street is just rain and light and the smell of what I refuse to become again, at least tonight. I walk. The city hums. The moon hides, and somewhere between breath and step, between the beast and the man, I find the fragile rhythm of being both. The calendar says 28 days. The body disagrees. It's been counting heartbeats instead of sunsets. Every night since the bar, since the rooftop shape, I've dreamed in silver. I wake with teeth aching for names. Tonight, the moon rises, uninvited, swollen and white as a lie that's gone on too long. Clouds try to smother it, fail. Its light pours through the blinds like a subpoena. I stand in the apartment's dim hush, shirt discarded, hands braced on the windowsill. The city glitters like a nervous system, every car light a pulse. Somewhere down there, people argue about bills and love and who left the porch light on. I envy them and don't, because under the skin, the song is back, low, patient, knowing. The beast has learned restraint. It doesn't claw, it calls. I whisper, not again. The window fogs with the heat of it. A drop of sweat slips between my shoulder blades, cold as mercy. Then the phone buzzes. No number. 3 words on the screen. Full moon's debt. A woman. I should ignore it. Instead, I grab the jacket, the one still smelling of pine and gun oil, and head for the street. The city's alleys breathe different after midnight, steam rising from grates like sighs, trash can fires flickering like old gods. I follow the pull through side streets until I reach the river. The same current that once reflected my first howl now mirrors the skyline. She's waiting there, hood up, boots wet. Her eyes catch the moonlight and throw it back like warnings. You didn't run far enough, she says. Didn't want to. That's not brave. That's gravity. We watch the water. Somewhere upstream, sirens smear the air. Somewhere downstream, laughter tries to drown them. The smell of iron thickens. She doesn't look at me when she says, "They're hunting again. Your pack." My order wants to burn them out before sunrise. I thought you'd want the choice. I let the silence answer first. Then, if I go back, I don't come back. Maybe not. Maybe that's what keeps the rest of us alive. Her words hang there, heavy as a collar. The moon crests the bridge, a perfect coin spun too high. My breath shortens, the bones remember choreography. A tendon pops, eager. She sees it. You can fight it. I shake my head. No one fights gravity. But there's another way. Aim it. I step closer. Close enough to smell her fear and her faith. If I change and they find me, tell them I came to end it, not join it. Her jaw tightens. You think you can choose that? I think I already did. The first crack splits my back open with light. She steps away, gun drawn, not at me, but for whatever follows. I kneel, hands digging into dirt. The pain is a baptism that doesn't need witnesses. Hair erupts along my arms, claws bloom through skin like confession. Breath shreds into growl. The city's neon fades beneath the brighter sermon of the moon. The transformation this time is cleaner. No panic, no begging. Just the perfect, terrible alignment of what I am. When I stand, the river glows gold in my eyes. Across the water, shadows move. Tall, fast, familiar. The pack. They've come singing my name in the old key, the one that promises blood and belonging. The woman whispers behind me, "What will you do?" I bare my teeth, not at her but at the sky. Redefine it. Then I howl, not the wild shriek of hunger, but something slower, older, threaded with sorrow and command. A warning that doubles as a benediction. The pack pauses mid-charge. The night itself listens. For one breath, the moon hesitates in its orbit. I feel them. Those creatures of me understand. Some turn away, some kneel. One, the boldest, answers, with a note that harmonizes instead of challenges. A duet born of pain and promise. The woman lowers the rifle. What did you tell them? That the curse isn't the changing. It's forgetting why you did. We stand until the howls fade. Into the horizon. The beast recedes, not beaten but agreed with. The fur thins, the claws retreat. I'm left trembling, raw, whole. She hands me her flask. You'll never stop counting moons. Maybe not, I say, but I can choose the song. The river carries the reflection of a man and a monster sharing one silhouette. Behind us, the city exhales, and in the whisper between waves, the channel outro arrives like instinct. At Whispering Narratives, we don't just tell stories. We keep the doors honest. If you made it through this one, subscribe before the next full moon and share it with the one friend you'd save at any cost. Some debts are paid in courage, some are paid in clicks. Yours pay both. The moon dips, exhausted. The door closes, for ye now. But from somewhere deep in the forest, the second howl rolls across the dawn. Neither threat nor plea, just truth finally learning to speak.